Often in history, periods and figures can get lost in the shuffle, especially if they are surrounded by even larger and more important events. Perhaps there is no better example of this than the Weimar Republic in Germany, which lasted from 1919 to 1933. Bookended by World War I and the rise of the Nazis and World War II, this lesson examines that curious time in Germany between the two most momentous wars of the previous century. Prior to World War I, Germany had been a relatively democratic federal republic, ruled by a triumvirate of the Kaiser, the Bundesrat, and an imperial diet that was elected via universal male suffrage. Unfortunately, defeat in World War I in 1918 and the terms imposed upon the German Empire by the victorious Allies caused economic hardship in Germany and soon after, the collapse of the government. For example, in order to pay the massive debt the Allies imposed upon the German government resolved to simply print more money. This caused rampant hyperinflation, which made the German currency, the Deutschmark, virtually worthless, and horror stories emerged of men and women carrying wheelbarrows full of money to the store to simply buy a loaf of bread. In the midst of the chaos, several factions vied for political power. For example, a strong communist movement named the Spartacists controlled Berlin, forcing the centrist German nationalists to declare the German Republic in Weimar, Germany, hence giving the period and the Republic its name. The institutions of the Weimar Republic in 1919 intended to create the best democracy possible in Germany. It gave both men and women over the age of 20 the right to vote on a president and a representative assembly named the Reichstag. Unfortunately, the nature of the voting system made the Reichstag home to an enormous number of political parties and platforms, and very little could actually be achieved as a result. By 1923, Weimar Germany was nearing total collapse as economic problems and rival political guerrilla movements persisted, all the while Germany's new democracy proved unable to achieve anything of substance. In 1923, however, several events coalesced to give Weimar Germany its most prosperous period. In 1923, the German statesman Gustav Stresemann amalgamated many of the centrist parties within the Reichstag to form the Great Coalition. Though the coalition lasted less than a year, it was able to finally achieve several positive reforms to help the ailing German people and economy, including providing government funds to help the unemployed pay their bills and find new jobs. Unfortunately for Stresemann and Germany, the coalition was short-lived and the Reichstag returned to its prior intransigence soon after the coalition collapsed. While Stresemann could do his best to achieve reform in the Reichstag, there was little he could do about Germany's crippling war debt and the resultant economic problems. This required outside financial assistance, which Germany found in 1923 through Charles Dawes and the United States. Dawes was director of the U.S. Bureau of the Budget, and after President Herbert Hoover appointed Dawes to the Allied Reparations Committee, he formulated a plan to help the ailing nation. The program, now known as the Dawes Plan, aimed to help boost the German economy. Through his position on the committee, Dawes called for Germany to recall the old Deutschmarks, burn the currency, and essentially start their monetary system from scratch. Additionally, he got Allied governments to agree to lend approximately $200 million to the German government, and also give Germany a longer period of time to repay its debt. The plan allowed the German economy to get back on its feet, and gave the German government some breathing space when it came to reparation payments. The successes of the Dawes Plan, however, were short-lived. It soon became apparent that the German economy depended entirely on infusions of cash from foreign governments. In 1929, shortly after the death of Stresemann, the Wall Street market collapse caused economic ruin throughout the Western world, but most significantly at the collapse's epicenter, the United States. The U.S. had been Germany's largest loaner in the 1920s, and after the market collapse, the U.S. government and private banks could not afford to lend money to Germany. With the constant infusions of foreign cash removed, the fragile German economy unraveled. Factories shut down and workers were laid off by the thousands, unemployment soaring to over 6 million by January 1933. Indeed, many of the same problems which Weimar Germany had faced in its infancy cropped up again, and Germans threw their support behind rival, extremist political factions. In the 1930 election, only a year after the collapse of the stock market, both the Communist and Nazi parties of Germany made significant advances, each picking up over 100 seats in the Reichstag. In 1932, the Nazi Party picked up even more seats and became the largest party in the German Reichstag. With these successes at the ballot box, Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party began to consolidate power over the German government and slowly unravel the democratic practices of the Weimar Republic. The Nazi Party pushed through several decrees which gave both Hitler and the presidency more power over the German government, and in July of 1933, the Weimar Republic was effectively over when the Reichstag declared the Nazi Party as the only legal political party in Germany. When the German president died the following year, the office was abolished and its powers absorbed by the Chancellor, Adolf Hitler. The Weimar Republic that ruled Germany after World War I until the rise of Nazi Germany in 1933 was faced with the enormous task of simultaneously stabilizing post-war Germany and paying debilitating reparations to its former enemies. Unfortunately, its nobly democratic political system created gridlock at a time when Germany needed firm economic direction to address its problems. Weimar Germany was able to succeed for a short time, but only with constant infusions of foreign cash. When the Wall Street collapse and the ensuing Great Depression eliminated this supply, the Weimar Republic unraveled as everyday Germans flocked to political extremists who promised to solve Germany's problems, namely Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party.